Do people talk about discernment still? Discernment is still a thing, and I want to document discernment. I was having a conversation with my aunt the other day about how I am living a blessing. Like, I'm living an answered prayer, and I don't want to be like the type of like, oh, I'm just so incredibly blessed. But I fear I might have to be just this one time, just to express what it is that I am feeling. When I was in college, I was a student worker in the Alumni Affairs office, Spelman College, and I would sit in the office, and thankfully I had, sisters, mentors. I'm talking about like the office staff there. Shout out to Miss Linda, Miss Allison. My earliest memories of discerning what now is sitting in their offices thinking, I am really interested in the church, but not the church in the way that I have previously seen it. The question that I have is how the church would be active outside of its four walls. You ever have that feeling of like there is some like yes and there is what I presently see, but then there's something more to it, right? And at the time I didn't have language to say like, oh, there is this intersection of religion and governance or faith in the public square. As a political science major, the layered question was, how do we create sustainable systems? How do we legislate? How do we make sure that there is equity about the land? And to clarify, when we're talking about faith and religion, we're not talking about just one specific faith, but in the sense that for those who identify as spiritual beings, for those who identify themselves as Christian or Muslim or Jewish or Baha'i or, whatever that faith may be, there is a way to integrate those versions of yourself, even as we are looking to create a community that is just, a community that is whole. I think that there is a way to talk about that does not diminish yourself or your neighbor. What is not lost on me is that this process that started when I was a first year student in college has developed into this life that I'm now living. And there are often days where I catch myself in thinking, oh my God, I am living an answered prayer. Every time that I drive up to my office, I think, thank you, Lord, you did that. But this process was not easy. I'm also aware of the fact that this is a privilege. I have come from women who sacrificed so much, and I watched my mom and my grandmother provide for their families. I watched at times them choose professions and jobs so that they would be able to provide for their family that did not necessarily prioritize the work of their soul. Like they did not have that choice. And so that is at the forefront of my mind as well, that I am able to now live in a way that integrates the thing about which I am most passionate and call it a career. Like, that is insane. That's insane. That is insane. I do think there is this element of documenting this process of discernment. Not everyone is given the ability to act on it. Not everyone pays attention to those inclinations, and not everyone is afforded the opportunity to follow through with something that they are feeling in their body. Katie Cannon is known, for saying that we ought to pursue the work my soul must have. This is the work that my soul must have. And it's a blessing to show up in that way. And for that to be a part of my calling, for that to be a part of my career, my ministry. But I'm also learning that doing this work is not without struggle. That showing up in the fullness of your call is difficult. I don't know why, but it is so difficult. There is something about being able to do the work of your soul, and to do that work well, and to do that work whole. And part of that requires that you have a complete, like, whole life. And I want to do all of that, but it's a journey, and I'm figuring it out one day at a time.